welcome to the Catecast, a podcast for Catholic teachers, parish leaders, and parents. I'm Jacob, and with me is my wife, Alicia.
Hello.
We're here to share with you what we have been doing to pass on the Catholic faith in the classroom, at church, and at home. You're listening to episode 4 of the Catecast.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
Where we actually know what we're doing.
Maybe. That's not a given. But I do know better than I used to because you were just educating me on some memes and some music before we started.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's, the music, I was telling him that I've been listening to some new artists. Well, they're probably not new. They're new to me artists. Some what did you say the genre was? Like,
I called it like Brother Isaiah New Wave.
Yeah, whatever that means. But Forrest Frank is the one of them. He's got like a couple that have millions of views, and he's got like this good one that's called like Good Day. And I play a little bit of it.
Yeah, you can play a little bit of it.
Okay.
Who knows? Here we go.
I'm about to have a good day. No matter what they say. Sun is shining down on me. Birds are singing praise. I'm about to have a good day.
So you've been listening to these in the car? Or?
Yeah, listening to them on the way to school and the way home. And then there's another artist. He goes by the name... Oh, what is it? Shoot, I lost it.
Was that the CalledOut music?
Yeah, CalledOut music. He's like he's from England, but he's like British Nigerian, and he's got like a lot of fun like music.
Yeah, I've heard this one in the car.
Yeah. I put this one on repeat a lot. Yeah. And yeah, so some good music to get ready for the day with. And yeah, the Forrest guy, he's got like some like throwback hymns like Amazing Grace that he's like taken and made his own. And like I Could Sing of Your Love Forever.
That's an oldie.
Oh wait, that's the CalledOut music. But anyway, so
okay,
yeah.
And then you were telling me about this dog, a bear dog meme.
This like has nothing out of context. So we were talking about what we did for Catholic Schools Week, and I just kept saying like, "Can I pet that dog?" And it comes from a meme, and Jacob's like, "Why do you keep saying that?" I was like, "Because part of Catholic Schools Week, like they had like these dogs who are in training to be like service dogs. They like had like 3 of them come in, and the kids gotta go around and pet the dog. So the meme is like this girl sees a bear and she thinks it's a dog, and so she keeps saying like, "Can I pet that dog?" And they're like, "No, can I pet that dog?" And so I just kept saying it, and he didn't understand why, and he had never seen the video, so I had to show him and educate him on reels. I don't know if it was a reel.
Anything Instagram, I don't really know what's
it probably started on TikTok. I don't know.
Probably.
They say that like millennials don't watch TikTok. They just watch reels on Instagram that were once TikTok, like on TikTok or something like that. I don't know.
Well, you complained about how I just sent a TikTok to my family on our group chat, and I started it. Well, I qualified the text with, "I don't watch things on TikTok, but here's a link to something on TikTok."
Yeah, and I was like, "You had to say that? Why did you say that?" Like your family would be like, "You're on TikTok?"
I'm 35 years old. I need to be very clear with everyone that I am not a TikTok watcher.
Okay. Do they call them TikTokers? I don't know. I've never been on TikTok. Again, I just watch all the TikToks on Instagram.
Okay, so what all did you do for Catholic Schools Week other than petting dogs?
We had some a 5-person band. What is it called? A quintet come and play some music. And
but it wasn't just a band, right? It was, because I saw the videos you took.
Oh, it was a brass band, like
all brass instruments. Yeah.
There's like couple trumpets, trombone, a tuba, and a French horn. And then, what else did we do? So our Catholic Schools Week was like, we did Spirit Week the first week, and then we like did some things this week for Catholic Schools Week. So it was like kind of like 2 weeks of things. Oh, we did some exercising, like a ninja karate person came in.
Wait,
and
you
like,
did not tell me about this.
Well, it was during my planning, so I didn't go with the kids.
Okay.
So I went and worked.
You missed the exercise?
Yes,
Catholic
I missed
school celebration?
Yes. And then
That's a
like
bummer.
yesterday we celebrated Candlemas and did like a procession into church. And then we had the like 8th grade versus teachers volleyball game, which we kind of did like fun, different volleyball game types things like chair volleyball or oven mitt volleyball or blind volleyball where they covered the net up so you couldn't see. So it was kind of like more fun and less like everyone has to be everyone else.
It wasn't like super competitive?
Yeah, it was like a lot more chill. And then we ended the day in adoration as a school. So I feel like there were lots of things that we did all throughout those 2 weeks. And of course there were dress downs and lots of fun to be had, open house and things like that. So
Did you say you got your throat blessed?
I got my throat blessed yesterday and today. So
yeah, twice the blessing. One throat, 2 blessings.
my throat was hurting earlier this week, so I
One for
attributed
the-
it to the same place.
One for the trachea,
Healing
one
it.
for the esophagus.
I
Is that
don't
right?
know. That grosses me out. Anyways, so yeah. So happy Catholic Schools Week. I guess it's the end of it
We're
now.
just, happy past Catholic Schools Week. Looking forward to the next one.
Sure. The next big feast or celebration or preparation or liturgical year thing is
that'll
Lent.
That'll be Ash Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Valentine's Day, Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
Very romantic.
Yeah.
Did you say, who was it that was saying that that somebody sent like a joke email that made it look like from the diocese where they were being instructed to make the ashes in the shape of a heart this year? Do you remember who said that?
I don't remember who, but that was a thing that I heard.
Okay.
Which
somebody was playing a
that's
joke on their parish office, I think.
yeah, that's pretty funny.
So
Although,
what are you doing in your classroom? You had Catholic Schools Week, obviously, so a lot of interruptions probably to your classroom, but you must have done something because at one point you called me into your classroom this last week. I was on the phone a friend for you, and you guys were talking about heaven. So what was the context of that and the questions from the students that I got?
well, we were talking about, we were in our lesson on theology of the body, and it was maybe a little off topic, but this unit's all about the body reveals man. And so we were talking about how like Adam and Eve were able to realize that they were special. They had a special place in creation because of their bodies. Like God didn't tell them that. They were able to see that just by like looking at themselves and comparing themselves kind of to creation. And so like talking about how we understand ourselves more through our body, and that our body like reminds us that we are meant to be in relationship. So anyways, as we were talking about that, then we started talking about the body and the soul. And that also brought up like heaven and what is heaven going to be like, and why if we're not like, because the whole point they were trying to make is it's like you're not body plus soul equals like you, rather like the body and the soul are like completely unified. And so it's not like this formula, or it's not like the soul is like in the body. Like it's not like the body is like a container for the soul.
Yep.
And so the question was like, well, why then when we die, like our soul goes to heaven, but our body stays here. And we were talking about the second coming and how we will receive our bodies again. And they just had lots of questions about heaven. And some of them I was like, honestly, I don't think anyone can answer this because nobody's been there. But we could phone a friend. You guys want to phone a friend? Because I think I know someone who would be able to add more to this discussion. So we ended up calling Mr. Doran up, and he helped answer the question that the definition of death is the soul leaving the body. And so that was helpful. And then talking about heaven as like not a place, but an experience. So like we experience the emotion of happiness. So it's not like a place where we will be. Because the whole question they were asking was like, were we going to be able to see heaven if we don't have our bodies? And so it was like,
no eyes, how do you see?
Yeah, because the whole thing that we were reading about is that we're able to know things because we have a body. Like we're able to know another person because we have a body who can experience their body. And so their whole question was like, well, how are we going to like be able to know and see things in heaven? So it's kind of like, yeah, that's a big question mark. But anyways, I don't know if you confuse them more or help them out, but I guess it helped me understand and like be able to answer some of their wild questions. So yeah, talking about the body and the soul, and it was good.
Yeah. I remember, that body soul composite. That's a really good lesson for the kids. And you repeated a lot of what I told you on the phone very well. So obviously at least one person learned from that phone conversation.
Well, sometimes when you get, I don't know, like I know for me, when I get in the like moment, it's like hard for me to like think about the things that I do know, or like, I don't know. I just don't have a lot of brain. I don't have a lot of brain space to remember all these things. So I usually have to go back and reread. Whereas, like, I feel like you can remember anything and everything, and except for making sure you hang up my clothes that need to be hung on the line instead of in the dryer.
That's what the clothes labels are for. Just read the clothes label and then maybe figure it out. But sometimes there's those little shapes and like pictures on there, and I don't know what any of them.
You got to memorize those too, just like you remember what heaven is from all your studies. Yeah. Anyways, so that's what we're doing. We also have been talking about the covenant between God and Abraham, and had some quick discussion about circumcision. And
yeah, that's a great topic for 6th grade.
Yeah, I always love it when they ask the question, do people still get circumcised? And I just say, yes. And then we move on. And then we talked about the testing of Abraham and how Isaac like kind of prefigures Jesus. And they did a really good job of being able to recognize, the things that were similar to what Isaac did in that story, and Jesus did in the crucifixion, or in the road to Calvary, I guess you'd say. Yeah,
absolutely. We just looked at that. We had like a formation session with my department, and we're going over the Old Testament, like just a quick overview of the Old Testament. It's using Dr. Bergsma's, all his stick figures and stuff. He's the one who's teaching the workshop that we're watching, and
the same guy who wrote the book?
Yeah, the same guy who wrote the book, The Bible Basics.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Yep. So we're going through all that. And
did you draw the stick figures?
I haven't been drawing the stick figures because I drew them about 1 million times when I was teaching.
Yeah.
But my employees, they are.
Yeah, we just did it. We just drew the testing of Abraham. So we drew Isaac on the altar, and then drew Abraham with his knife in his hand. And then I was like, I think we should draw the ram. He doesn't have the ram in his picture, but we drew the ram in our picture because I felt like some of the kids were like, oh, it's a murder scene. I was like, no, it's not a murder scene. We know the ending of this story. So I was like, we're drawing the ram. So we drew the ram.
That's great. In his lecture, Dr. Bergsma, he says that when he talks about circumcision being the sign of the covenant, he says that drawing circumcision presents a bit of a problem, so we're just going to draw the knife.
Yeah, I don't even have them draw the knife because I don't even, yeah.
You don't want to go
we
there,
skip over that and we go straight to the testing of Abraham, but yeah. That would bring up way too many questions, so.
Yep, not somewhere you need to go with the 11 and 12-year-olds.
Yep. Anyway, so what have you been doing or prepping for, getting ready for at work?
This weekend we have our middle school small groups, and I really love that we have small groups not just for middle schoolers, but really every level, K through 8, and the parents. We have like a small group environment for them at some point, and that's something I really love about how we're running the family faith formation. And something I see a lot of fruit from with the parents especially is having that established small group. And over the summer when I do, the visits with as many of the families as I can, this last summer there was one couple that told me that they made friends with another person at their table from their small group last year. So,
so what would you? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's establishing like a community, like a little church community with everybody who's doing faith formation together.
So what would be your definition of a small group? Because a small group could mean lots of things.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have a small group of friends over. What does it mean? I'm
thinking like 4 to 8 people who are kind of like working on something discipleship oriented together in an intentional way. So even like let's say we have like the group of kindergarten through second graders who are in a room together. They're separated out into small groups so that as they're doing like their activities and lessons, they're working with one catechist or aide with like that's specifically working with them with that small group of kids, and they're getting to know each other a little bit better than the rest of the kids in that group. Same thing with our middle school small groups. They meet this year. I think they only are going to meet 10 times throughout the whole year total.
10.
Just 10. But they're getting to know each other. They're working on like those skills and the knowledge of discipleship together. And they've got a mentor, a good mentor who's done those things before, like yourself. You're someone who's well experienced in that small group environment and experienced in growing in discipleship. So you're exactly the kind of person that I would want to be leading a middle school small group. And then for the parents, we have people who maybe are a little further ahead, either in their path of discipleship or even in like age and wisdom. We have a couple small group leaders that have kids either in high school or out of the house, and they're coming to lead a small group of parents during those monthly sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, something else that it emphasized, because for the middle school small groups, at least, we're using Y Disciple, yeah. For our program. And one of the things that they like emphasize is like small groups being like intentional and like having like, especially I'm thinking for middle schoolers, like having a mindset for like that it's not just like a class you're coming to, but this is like a place where you can like share, but also like we have that respect in that like it's a place where we're not going to go and like tell everybody like what you said. Like it's not just a class of learning, but it's actually meant to be like a place where we like dive into our relationship with Jesus. And I think for a lot of people, like they're not used to like sharing at a deep level,
like being vulnerable.
Being vulnerable. Yeah, and
exactly.
So I think like laying that groundwork of like these are groups that are like going to stay consistent and they're not going to change, and that it's a place where we can like, because one of the things you have to, in order to be vulnerable, you really have to like build that relationship. I I mean, I think for most people, they're not going to just be vulnerable right on the spot, that they have to have that trust.
You have to build up that little community.
Yeah. So I like that about it. I don't know if your parent sessions, if the small groups say the same, but that's like something that I find a lot of value in. Because like teaching people how to be disciples, it requires you to be relational, and it's really hard to be relational when your like group is constantly changing, or it's like a big group of people. So kudos to you. Sorry, my chair keeps squeaking. I hope it's not picking up. Like, I just feel like I need to say that's my chair and not something else.
Not a brass band.
Or as the kids would say, I don't know, they were talking about deadly disasters.
The disaster zone?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
Anyways,
it's my chair. Please forgive the chair.
Yeah. So. The small groups and the importance of community, that's something that I've been reading about. And there's actually, so next week, the newsletter that I'll put out actually talks about the book that I read that really emphasizes how discipleship grows in community, how it needs Christian community in order to really mature and to grow and to move forward closer to Christ. And that's what small groups do, is they provide another aspect, another avenue of community, and that they're really modeled on the family and family type relationships, because just like in a family, you don't choose who you're in a family with. Same thing with a small group. You're not coming into a small group having picked out for yourself who that small group is. You're kind of showing up with strangers, and you've got some kind of common identity in being Catholics, in this case, and a common origin, all being from the Father, from God the Father. So, and all being children of God. So those kind of relationships are there, but you're not really choosing who's in your small group. So it's like an aspect of Christian community that imitates and is modeled after family. And that's, like I said, that's where discipleship can grow.
Yeah, that's good.
So the last thing I want to talk about tonight is this book that Felicity read. It's What Happened to Rachel Riley by Claire Swinarski. And on Substack, I sent her a picture of Felicity with the book, our oldest with the book, and she was super excited to get that. Felicity read through the whole book in about 24 hours, and it's like 320 pages. It's a middle grade novel and a mystery novel. I think it's actually up for an award right now. I just saw that,
The Edgar Allan Poe, something like that.
But then after...
It's not anything like Edgar Allan Poe, though.
Okay, whatever it is, it's not that.
I mean, I think it's like a mystery.
It's like related to mystery stuff. Yeah. But then after Felicity read it, Alicia read the book, and she's usually a slow reader, but she really tore through this one.
Okay, rude.
Just being honest.
I read slower than you. That's not saying anything.
All right, that's true.
Well, I read through it. I kind of wanted to read through it fast because Felicity had brought up some things. She was like, oh, there were some kind of strange things in here. And I was like, about like how boys were treating girls. And so I kind of wanted to read it to make sure like, oh, what type of discussions do I need to be having with her about it? It was a good book. I'm not like saying it was not a good book. I liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I also wanted to read it fast so I could like catch up to speed with like what she read. And like, you said, just wanted to make sure I could like help her understand. 'Cause it kind of follows the, I guess the author would call it kind of like I don't know if she uses the word spinoff, but I'm going to use the word spinoff of like the Me Too movement. And so I was like, okay, what does that mean? Because that can mean lots of things. And you've heard that phrase in the media and stuff. And, so it does talk about like harassment and stuff in the book. And so one of the things that I've had lots of conversations with Felicity about, and it's kind of perfectly like tied into like some situations that have been happening, in and around her were like being able to do the right thing. So there's characters in this book that are kind of just going along with things because, you know, they don't want to ruffle any feathers and they're just being nice. And, like the boys are doing things that the girls don't like, but they're not going to call them out on it because they don't want to be that person. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, the conversations I've had with Felicity are like, you know, that's what is the right thing to do. Like if something is going on that you don't like or that you see other people doing, like what is the right thing to do? And I mean, in words she knows, like you need to speak up and stand up, but like in the actual moment, that's really hard because you've got your peers looking at you and, you know, snitches get stitches and like everybody like looks at you weird if you tell on someone or speak up. And so there's a lot of pressure, societal pressure, peer pressure not to say anything.
Absolutely.
But like one of the quotes that has really like stuck with me, and I've probably said it like 20 times. I've like said it to Jacob. I've said it to Felicity multiple times. I've even been like talking to my coworkers about this book with situations that have been happening at work. And like the sister, she's got the main character, Anna, has a sister, an older sister. And at one point they're like having this conversation about like doing the right thing and speaking out. And her sister says, that nice can be another word for scared. And I was like, oh, that is like so true. Like how often are we just like, I just want to be nice. I don't want it to like get anyone in trouble or like, you know, it's none of my business. Like, and yeah, we just play like the nice role where like the reality is we're probably scared in that situation to do something. And so we just say we're being nice, which I think is what a lot of preteens and middle schoolers do these days is that, you know, they don't want to get the retaliation from peers.
Well, we do it as adults too.
Yeah. So we do it as adults as well. So anyways, just a good thought-provoking book to just bring up a lot of conversations. It's had me thinking a lot about, doing like, I think it would be a cool book to do with like some middle school girls or something, like in a book club or just like giving them that voice and, you know, reminding them that it's important to speak up when things that are wrong are happening. So
what I think is so cool is the fact that you two both read this book, and because of that, it's like sparked these conversations, and because of understanding what's going on in there and the characters, in the story, like in the novel, like you're able to bring that into real life situations and bring those lessons learned.
Yeah. That's something, I think a lot of people like, maybe I shouldn't say a lot of people, but that's something that I've worked with my students to recognize, is that when we're reading novels, we can recognize and we can use these characters as like, aids to help us see where like virtue is being lived out. And I think sometimes like people see like books like we're just reading them for pleasure and it's just for fun, but like there's actually a lot of lessons to be had in novels. Like we're reading The Outsiders right now, and with 7th grade, and
which can be a controversial book.
Yeah, I guess so, but you know, they in this last section, I gave them like 4 different virtues to choose from, like docility, good judgment, foresight, and one other one I'm drawing blank. Circumspection. And they had to identify like where a character practiced those virtues. And, I had some kids like come up and be like, I can't find anything. I was like, well, you got to look back in the book. Like you got to think back. And it's not just about like reading the book to comprehend, but it's like digging deep to see like, oh yeah, well, when, Ponyboy did this, like he displayed that virtue because, so it just gets them thinking about, how to live out the virtues. What's that look like even with a boy who's a greaser who you wouldn't think has many virtues, but really,
if any at all.
Yeah. So just kind of good thoughts to be had.
That reminds me of Kelly Gallagher. He's a language arts writer, and he would talk about novels and how they are practice for real life. I love that that attitude towards literature. Yeah, how we can be learning from it and learn about ourselves and learn, like, it gives us an avenue to reflect on our own lives. Yeah, and see where we want to go.
Yep. Good old Kelly, who I thought was a girl for quite a while. I'm sorry, Kelly, if you ever listen to this.
His picture is on the back of the book.
I know, but I don't know. Anyways, okay. I digress. Is that the right word?
Yes. I guess so. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed listening today and found some of what we are up to helpful for you. Please subscribe to the podcast and check out and subscribe to our newsletter also on Substack at thecatecast.com. You can comment on our episode there and let us know what you're interested in hearing about in the future. God bless you all, and we'll see you next time on the Catecast.
See ya.